Hello, my friends on YouTube. Today is Sunday, the 14th of May, 2023. Today is Mother's Day here in America. And we celebrate mothers and Mother's Day, and we wish all of them a good day to enjoy. Today's video is actually, the word is taken from Quran, and the word here, it's qasas, which means, is very hard to translate, but I'm going to explain it. Qasas it means, probably the word indemnification, the word that it's normally used in the insurance system, which is to pay back for certain damage that you have caused. So the picture I put on the video, it's actually a woman. This is made a movie about Iranian woman who was accused of adultery, falsely accused of adultery, and she was stoned to death as a penalty to pay for her mistake, sin, or whatever you want to call it, to pay back or to punish, to make her pay back. That's the meaning of the word that I'm going to speak about today. To start, I'm going to put all the things I'm going to talk about in the description box. In the book that came to us 1400 years ago called Quran, the second chapter, verse 179, it says, in that, for those who follow the faith, they will have kind of, there is English translation next to it, I'm going to put it, but it doesn't give the same feeling really. Like, to those who believe will have life. Life here does not mean just life, but heavenly life, you could say, or life from heaven, to the believer who practice that indemnification of murdering others, basically. And the biggest payer of that is the weak people, children, women, and so on and so forth, slaves, servants. If you are weak, and this, by the way, this is still practiced in Arabia today. The people who come from East Asia, let's say Indonesia, Philippines, the kind of poor countries who go to work there, they suffer tremendous suffering of abuse, and they cannot open the mouth, because if they do, they can be accused of doing things that they never did, and it's a kangaroo court. The master said, it's true. And I'm coming to speak about that because that's basically what happened in that movie to this lady. Her name was Soraya, and she was accused of committing adultery. And because the husband, he is the subject and he is the man well respected, he bribed the religious leader to accept his testimony, and the religious leader stood with him, and even the woman lost her life in a very gruesome way. To him, he is applying the heavenly law that came 1400 years ago. This is a joke. This is a joke that because the man says so and the religious leader agrees with him because he paid him, then a woman, they're of less value, she can pay with her life. You can actually watch this movie. I watched this movie probably about 10 years ago. It's based on a true story that it happened to a woman from Iran, and she was stoned to death. And that barbaric behavior still practiced today. Not just in Iran, in many countries, actually Saudi Arabia, until 5 years ago, that was going on. Chopping the head with the sword of a person who, let's say, insulted the Prophet, that was going on until 5 years ago. And I'm going to talk about that because in the Islamic tradition, if you insult God, you could apologize and everything is okay. But if you insult the founder of Islam, you will apologize first, repent, apologize, and then you will be killed. It doesn't matter. But in insulting God, the Creator, you're okay. You just need to repent and apologize and everything is fine. But to insult the founder, that's dangerous. Okay, so starting with this lady in Iran, she was wrongfully accused of adultery and she was stoned to death. But even if she really did commit adultery, and her husband feels he couldn't prove it, he wanted another woman practically, so he had to get rid of this one. So accuse her of adultery and that's it, get rid of her and everything is fine. I'm saying that because 1400 years ago, a blind man came to the founder of this faith, or this, I don't know if I should call it faith, call it whatever you want to call it. For me, it's a bunch of gangster, really. He murdered his wife. He was a blind man, he murdered his wife. So he asked her, why did you do that? He said, because she used to insult you. I tried to stop her, she wouldn't stop, so I killed her. Okay, fair enough. Go on, carry on with your life. He didn't investigate. He didn't say, okay, but how would I know that you are saying the truth? Maybe you wanted to marry another woman and or she was in dispute with you and you got rid of her. No. The fact that he said she insulted you, everything is allowed at this point. So knowing that, then the lady Soraya, the Iranian woman who was stoned to death, you don't need to listen to her testimony. You don't need to listen to her. Ignore all that. Stone her to death. This is our tradition, came to us 1400 years ago. So they did. And I'm doing this because Iran also last week killed two young men who they say, I don't think this is the truth, but they say insulted the Prophet of Allah. They are in Iran. I don't think they criticized the Prophet of whatever this is the way I'm doing here because I'm in America. Could they kill me? Yes, they could, but it will be a bit difficult because it will be FBI and a lot of digging. So they don't do that, at least not now. Okay? But these are two young men. Probably they were asking questions. They want clarification. But you ask question, it means you are really starting to use your head. Too dangerous. Too dangerous. The Prophet said, don't ask. Don't ask. Don't think. Don't question. That's in the tradition. That's in the faith. Don't ask. Don't question. Okay, so when that man came and told the founder that she insulted you, okay, that's good. So the people are walking on this path, and the religious authority affirmed that. And unfortunately, in Afghanistan also, they are practicing what Saudi Arabia until 5 years ago was doing, which is chopping the head off in public. Saudi Arabia was doing that until 5 years ago, but this time the United Nations is asking Afghanistan not to do that in public, as if they do it in private it will be okay. A person who commit whatever that deserve death, they carry that in a public square in front of everyone. All tyrannical system, they do that to intimidate people. You do that, you criticize us, you criticize the leaders or the religious authority, that is your fate. You will be hanged like this, or your head will be chopped off like this. So Afghanistan chopped the head of this person. I don't know his crime. Regardless, yes, I know some people, maybe you have to apply the death sentence to them because of the nature of the crime they did. But in a public square, that is barbaric. I mean, in many countries, they have the death penalty for those who committed heinous crimes. But it is in private. However, this person, he could be like the two Iranian people. He started to ask questions about the faith and about the founder of this ideology. Okay, you started to use your head, we chop your head off. So that we stop that from beginning. Don't think, we said don't think. So I'm doing that because, again, I need to hear from either the Egyptian authority or the Yemeni gangsters there. Where Said al-Idrisi now? Is he dead? Did you kill him? In similar manner. And I will not stop. I'll always open things to you. So Al-Azhar, which is supposed to be the finest institute in the Islamic world, is in a way the whore of the Sultan. Whatever the Sultan tell this institute to bring to the public, they have to find a way. So if the Sultan tell them, I want 9 virgin from the population for me as wives, Okay, they will find something. It's unethical, but they have to find something. And now the United Nations is doing, I guess all the time they have been along one of the long arms of the deep state. They are doing similar stuff. They are calling for a bunch of gangsters not to carry the execution publicly. 5 years ago, in Saudi Arabia, this was practiced. And they were, no, I'm sorry, in Afghanistan, no, before the invasion of Afghanistan, the Muslims were practicing this barbarian style. That was before 2003, 20 years ago. They used to chop the head of the infidels or whoever committed a crime in public. And during the Islamic State in Syria and Iraq, they were practicing that. ISIS, they were practicing that. At the same time, Saudi Arabia was practicing the same thing. They chopped the head of a person in public. And the United Nations were criticizing only Afghanistan for doing that, criticizing ISIS for doing that, but not Saudi Arabia. Why? Oil. We need the oil. We need the oil. Well, I'm thankful that the Prince of Saudi Arabia stopped that nonsense. They are not practicing this anymore. But Afghanistan continuing on because ISIS, the Taliban have taken over. That ideology have taken over, and that's what they do. This is what they do. They chop the head in public. They stone the woman or the man in public. Why? Because it came from the founder. Okay? If you insult him in any way or think that he was a phony prophet or false prophet, you ought to be killed in a very dramatic way to stop others. We thank you very much. We hope you share, like, and subscribe.